Whoo! Training camp, day one. Day one of Chicago Bears training camp. This is Nomad Live at an odd hour because it is training camp season. And we will be making audibles to go in and do shows earlier in the day after press conferences and things like that. So, as promised, we're here. Let me bring in my guy right now because we're having a little some kind of technical difficulty with getting Trip the invite to the show. I don't know what's going on, Samuel. If you can, do you see the invite section of the page?
Yes, sir. I'll make sure I'll send it out to him again.
Okay, because for some reason Trip's not getting the invite for me. And yeah, we'll talk about that later. But anyway, Samuel, man, that press conference to me revealed a whole lot. And hey, how you doing, everybody in the chat, man? Mark, Kazak, J2K, Joseph Matuzak, Lee Bruin. Lee Bruin, I believe, is in the UK.
Yep.
Am I not right? And so this is probably a good time for him to catch a live show, right?
Absolutely.
So, hey, glad to hear me. First time seeing you live. Go ahead, Samuel. You want to shout them out?
Yeah. I see Creighton in there. Creighton Wilfong. I see all the faithfuls in there. Where goes one? Joseph Matusak, Mark Kasak. Who else? J2K, my guy. What's up? Yeah, I see a lot of good folks in here. King Book, are you here, baby?
Bradley Remy, Mike Withrow.
Mike Withrow. Shout out to all you guys.
Creighton Wilfong earlier. I saw Plank. Of course, he was the first one in here, man. My guy Plank. Shout out to Plank.
Always. Shout out to all you guys, man. Much love to you. Welcome to Nomad Live ad hoc show.
Hey, guys, hopefully you guys are patient enough. This is my first time producing the show. So Chris had to kind of walk me through everything this morning like a baby because I'm new to technology. But he was able to impart enough wisdom on me to get me confident enough to do this one by myself. Good thing Samuel was available right now because Triple R, for whatever reason, we can't get him the invite. But I don't know. I guess we'll have to talk to him about that afterwards and see what happened. I don't know. Hopefully he gets it and can get in here at some point. But further, moving along, man, we have to still do a show here. And I think that's Trip right now. The noise you just heard probably texting me. But did you see the press conference, man? Was there anything that stuck out to you? Because I got a book full of notes right here I wanted to share with everybody.
Yeah, quite a few things stuck out to me, man. One being one of the questions I really liked was the question that Herb Howard presented. Herb always tossing out good questions, man. When he asked Brian Pace, what does he think he did well? What does he feel like he didn't do? Get done this season or this off season, and I think he hit the nail on the head with the answer, man. As far as saying that he was able to make this year's team better while still having assets for the future. Basically, is what he said. We're still in good cap space position, and we have a lot of assets in the draft in the upcoming years. So, and I think that's also why he's keeping that flexibility and why we haven't signed anyone yet as far as a defensive end. So, and he said something to that effect when he said, hey, the numbers have to match up. He's not going to go out and overpay anyone, which makes a lot of sense, man. You don't want to go out and just overpay anyone right away. We want to see what we have, which is what we've been talking about for these past few shows. Nomad, I think he knows that we have something, and he just wants to see what it looks like in pads, But if that opportunity presents itself to get better, we will.
I want to put a pin in that conversation because I'm definitely going back there. But Mark Kazak says, Nomad, you're right. Justin has already turned down the QB Netflix show. That showed me so much. All he wants to do is win. Yeah, I mentioned that when the conversation came up about us doing Hard Knocks, and I was probably pretty much the only one saying, no, I don't like it. Coming from, you guys know I always speak from inside the locker room perspective and what it's like being in there, and it's having cameras around 24 hours a day when you got a young team that you're developing and you're trying to get cohesion and establish a structure and a standard, that is very abnormal. That would be very abnormal to have cameras watching every little thing you do. You're in the serious development phase. And Justin was right by saying no. And why? Because they still need time to get it down to what they really wanted. And I think it's abnormal. I wouldn't want it there, especially with this young team and what we're pushing. And this season is all about, we're going to win, but it's about developing the skill set and just making sure your standard is locked in place. That camera around you all the time kind of gets people to behave in abnormal ways, man. Next thing you know, you start getting a little friction. Hey, man, why you do this? Why you say that? And all that kind of stuff. And as you can see from the press conference, they love the energy in that building, from the players and on up to the front office. Something is really right about what they're doing, and you don't want to screw that up.
Right. I definitely see that too. The other thing that stood out for me with that comment was his reasoning behind not doing it. He says that, he wanted to keep everything organic in the locker room, which shows that he's not a selfish dude, man, because he knows that when cameras are around, everyone around him is going to be affected by that. And everyone's going to be on pins and needles. You can't say and do certain things or it could get out there. So I thought that was a pretty good answer, man, and pretty mindful of him, to think about, not only himself, but, everyone in the building around him. He says they got a good thing going in the locker room and he wants to make sure it keeps going that way. I just appreciated that from him.
Yeah, it's man, when you want to win and your whole goal and your whole focus and your emphasis is on making sure that you're doing what you need to do from day to day to get to the place you want to get to. The last thing you want is cameras all around you, all in the business and giving away little details about stuff you don't want out there in the atmosphere. You know what I mean? It's just, I know the fans love it. No, don't get me wrong. I'm gonna play devil's advocate here for the fan base and the people that really enjoy content, football content. I had to turn my phone off because Trip won't stop.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to get it to him.
Yeah, but it's abnormal, and if you focused on winning, you don't want that crap around you, man. You there's other things to be focused on besides a camera all up your behind. It's just not cool, man. I wouldn't want it. As a football player, talking from a football player's perspective, I wouldn't want anything to do with that. But I know the fans really love the content, and good for the teams that do it, man. But I don't think we're in a place to do it, and that's just how I feel about it.
Right. It's just not the time for that, man. Right. Like you said, right now it's the time to focus on winning. And we heard a lot of that today, not only from him, we heard it from DJ Moore, we heard it from Big Maine, as they like to call him, Tremaine Edmonds. Everyone's focused on winning right now, man. And, in order to do that, you need to be locked in and not worried about everything else that's going around you, all the distractions. So I appreciate that from all those guys.
Yeah. You know what, man? Let's address something that we spoke on Sunday night. We spoke on Chase and what we thought about Chase and his injury and what was going on. Right after we were done talking about it, what happened Monday, right off the PUP. And so all those people that were out there taking victory laps, I knew we wasted a pick. He's a bust. We gave away a 30-second pick for somebody that, all that kind of negative crap that people were on, man. It was they were awful takes, and people that did it and went and took that little victory lap, you look silly the next day. And so what'd you get from that? You know what I mean? And come to find out, everybody was assuming it was some kind of soft tissue injury, and it turned out, I think Justin kind of let that slip, that it was some kind of knee issue. So, I mean, it was, and he's good now. He appears to be good and ready to start camp. So there you go with that, man. I wasn't worried about in the first place, but I'm glad. And Chase kind of trolled everybody on Twitter right afterwards, like, look at you fools, man. I'm ready to go.
Right, man. I think we tried to put that fire out. I'm glad that it's extinguished right now, at least for now, and that everybody's just, pumping their brakes right now, man. We we knew that he had something going on. We knew it wasn't going to be anything too serious. And, the guy deserved some grace. And finally, he's back. He's going to be back strong at full strength. They say he's going to practice tomorrow. They didn't say that he was going to be limited or anything like that. No one on the team is going to be limited or anything like that, which is also a good way to start the season, and just happy for that dude, man. I'm wishing him so much success this season, man, to shut up all the haters, man. Just really happy for Chase, man, right now.
It was just so sad to see one little inkling of negative news on his status. I ain't gonna say everybody. We got a lot of hardcore real Bears fans that are fans and behind the team. Get behind the team like we are. Get behind them. Don't try to stand on top of them and look for an opportunity to stand on someone's neck. What are you doing that for? You complain about us not having enough weapons. We get a guy. Of course, he went through what he had to go through in coming to a team at halfway point of the season. But give the guy a chance, man. Give the guy a chance, man. Either you're a fan or you're not. You're here to agitate or you're not. I'm 100% true blue. You guys know that. I'm all about this team. And I'm not going to stand there. I'm not going to sit here and do a live show and just sit here and try to drag a guy when it's not that's not necessary, man. Be a fan, man, not a fanatic. It's two different things.
Absolutely, man. Be a fan, be understanding, that these players have to go through some things. They're going to have their bumps and bruises. Just be freaking supportive. This is Nomad Live. I'm going to say be freaking supportive of your team, guys. Just be supportive of these guys, man. Give them some grace. Give them some time. Give them a break. Cut them some slack. Whatever you like to say. But believe in them. Believe in them and trust in these guys. I think that Chase Claypool has a lot to offer, especially our team. The Bears will be happy that they have him, and I think all the fans will be too. There my guy go right here. Let him in.
Yeah.
Trip, what up?
Open the door. Let me in. How y'all doing today?
Doing good, man. Let's address this question with glad you got in here, man. I don't know what happened with my invite. Something Samo must have did. But
get one more real quick. One more person. Let's drop him in real good.
Oh, we got the newest member of the team
from the north.
Hydro, that Canada still up in here.
From the far north.
What's up?
What's up, my Canuck brother?
That's the newest member of the Nomad Live team, my man.
Boys,
Hydro. We call him Kid.
We just spent the last hour. I'm doing my thing out here, staying cool in Canada.
Hey, Matt, just remember, this is Nomad Live. This is a button-up shirt. This is a button-up show. We gotta keep it clean on this one. Can you hear me, man? All right. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just had to remind you.
Yeah, we just spent the last hour fighting trolls under the bridge, man. That's basically what we just did. Me and the boys. So I had to jump on and really address some of this stuff. So I'm happy that Nomad and Samo kind of jumped out there and really started backing up the homie Chase Claypool, because that's one piece of it. But there's another piece that I just want to get off my chest, and we can go on to other things. But the Justin Fields disrespect from Bears fans kind of needs to end today. It needs to end now. Facts is really nobody knows anything. You can just chalk it up at this point, right? What's up, Mike Withrow? End of the day, nobody knows anything. We've seen what we've seen. Some of us believe in the kid. Some of us don't. The ones who don't are chirping pretty loud out there. But the reality is nobody knows anything until the season kicks off and the man starts doing some stuff. When he starts doing some stuff, then you can have your say. Have your say. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Mr. Poles has plans moving forward. I support Justin, I support Mr. Poles. And that's basically how she rolls. All the hatred, all the BS stats. Let the kid run with his, let the kid learn, let the kid have his opportunity. And that's that. If you don't like him, shut up. Simple. That's my 2 cents. Let's roll, boys.
Live,
That's it.
live from Ogo, Canada. My man,
There
back.
you go.
So basically, the power of polls compels you.
Power of Polls compels you.
What's
No
up?
doubt.
That's Repeat Podcast. What's up, my guy? Damn, I forget his name all the time. Rabbit Jones.
Rabbit.
What's going on, man?
Rabbit.
Hey, but
Rabbit was in there slaying with us. Rabbit was in there throwing some punches with us, trying to keep them down.
yeah,
Them trolls under the bridge. Back up,
Now
troll.
to piggyback on what the Canuck brother Kez was saying there about the trolls. Another question that seemed to be prevalent amongst our Chicagoland media base was, okay, give me the bullet points on what you did over the summer, or the bullet points on what you're doing to improve the team. And they're like, well, I can't give you exactly those things, but in general, here's what we're doing. And it's like they're expecting Poles and Flus and these players to have an itinerary, to give them on how they've improved or what's going on in their mindset. And just the reaction of the players, I like the bravado, when Nomad is talking about, well, why can't we do this? Is like, you felt that. But Tremaine Edmonds, being the 6-year vet, was more political with his answer on, well, I can't give you the specifics, but here's the generalities. And DJ Moore's character was just to giggle at Justin trying to field the question. So yeah, I'm liking the attitude, I'm liking the bravado, I'm liking the humility, and I'm liking the quest for being together and coming together. And as Flu said, we're gonna put these players out here. We're gonna put them in the best position with the physical, with the spiritual. With the all the what's the third one? Spiritual, mental, and physical. Is that it?
Sounds
Something
about
else.
right.
Yep.
Okay, and then the science behind it to make sure their bodies are in top 10 and all that. And so you put that together, you let the chips fall where they may. We do better as a whole record wise, which no one can produce. Stop asking. And if we're getting to the playoffs and we're gonna get a veteran at a position, defensive end, we'll do that. Stop asking. Let the kids play. And then, get to the playoffs. And as they said, it's 0-0. But right now, we're about to, get it ready. And I'm feeling it. And God damn it, I'm getting hyped. I'm sorry. We're not allowed to. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Gosh darn it, you're hype.
Yes.
It's a daytime show, Triple R. It's a daytime show.
Hey.
or Dadgummit.
Dag
Nabbit.
nabbit.
You Wescally Wabbit.
All right, man. Let's talk some football players, because I think Mike Withrow asked me earlier in the show about Buddy Johnson. I think his name is Buddy Johnson Jr., a linebacker we got. I think his most recent team was Pittsburgh, I believe. I might be wrong about that. Anyway, yes, I didn't know of him until last night. They put a list out of about 10 guys that came in for a workout, and so far we only signed 2. It was Isaiah Ford, a receiver, about 6'1", 6'2", probably about 195 pounds, pretty good size receiver. We'll talk about Buddy Johnson first. He's about 6'1". No, he's 6'2".
6'2",
about 42, 45, big linebacker, and he's a thumper. His pro tape is so. Did anybody else get to check him out?
Yeah, it's a thump. I checked out some of his college tape, man. He was a guy that would come down and hit, man. He was a heat-seeking missile, as they like to say. I think a lot of people are saying that the knock on him is that he hasn't been the best in coverage just yet. The more surprising thing to me is the guy who he replaced. Sterling Weatherford, man. Sterling Weatherford is no longer on the team.
Whoa.
And we thought that Sterling Weatherford was going to be an ascending player this season. So it's interesting to hear.
You remember my take on that was last season when he got the opportunity to show and prove, he couldn't get on the field because he wasn't healthy. And this regime don't play that. So in with the old, out with the new. Good luck, Mr.
Yep.
Weatherford, in your future endeavors.
Whoa, wait a minute, man. I didn't know Weatherford got cut.
Yes. Yep.
When did that news come out? Like right
Overnight.
Immediately afterwards. Yeah, I think that was the replacement. They dropped Weatherford and that left-footed punter that they had picked up to sign these two guys, to sign Isaiah Ford and Buddy Jones.
So let me get something straight now. So what was Sterling playing? Was he not a defensive end as well?
He was
Or
a
was he
linebacker.
playing linebacker?
Yeah, he was a linebacker. He was one of the middle linebackers. He was playing Will and Mike.
Yeah, he was a cross between Will and Mike. He was, developing at both of those positions. I think they wanted him mostly for Will. Somehow, some way, if he got cut, that tells me he didn't develop fast enough. Wasn't able to. I looked at him when they was on the recent 1920 football drive, and I was looking at him in the linebacker room as they were. If you saw that, he doesn't look like he's gaining the weight.
That's what I think it is.
That's
what I think it is.
Off a glance, that's what it looked like to me.
That's what I think it is as well. No matter, I think he didn't show the work ethic that they wanted to see, man. They give guys. We heard, who was it? Was it Flus or Poles who raved about? It was Poles raved about Big Darnell Wright and how much work he put in, how good he looks physically, and how his body composition has changed. I don't think that they saw the same maybe in Sterling Weatherford. Maybe he just hasn't put that amount of work in that they would like to see, and he gets banged up a little bit throughout the year. He was banged up throughout the year last season, so maybe they're just like, you didn't, we gave you an opportunity, you didn't step up to the plate, so there's a next man up.
Funny thing about it is, we're talking about and I'm just guessing about what it might have been with him. It could have been a couple of different things. It could have been injury.
True.
But
True.
On a glance, it did look like, and I say this to you, man, when you're that young, your metabolism is really fast, and almost the hardest thing in the world to do is to gain weight, some serious muscle, because you're burning everything off, man. As soon as you gain it, it's gone. And so that's not easy to do. If you don't really focus on that and put real serious efforts into listening to the trainer and what he's trying to tell you works, it's not going to work. You're going to keep on spinning your wheels trying to get that muscle and gain the weight because your metabolism is so high, man. You can eat like a horse, but it might not stick to you depending on how intense your workouts are. So,
okay, now, speaking on that, let's look at our new, what's our new linebacker's name again?
Buddy Johnson.
Hey, buddy. Welcome, buddy. So look at what I was able to see from him was that he was another athletic, smart beast, but unable to crack the rotation where he was. So he's developed, physically a couple years in the league, but hasn't had that opportunity to, show and prove and make his own name. And that is Poles and Flus's type to a T right there. So let's see what the kid got.
Go ahead, Matt. You got anything?
I don't have all that much, to be honest with you. Like Samuel kind of answered what I needed to hear today, because when the news came out about Buddy, I was a little confused because just like every other Bears fan out there, every Bears fan out there is going to be like a linebacker. We just scored a whole bunch of linebackers. Where's the damn defensive end? So that was really what was running through my mind, including the wide receiver we grabbed right after. Same token, we got a whole bunch of wide receivers. I know, word on the streets is Chase Claypool may have some kind of injury or whatever. Maybe they just want to evaluate somebody else, or maybe somebody really jumped out on Monday. But that was really my question. If they let go of Sterling Weatherford, now we're really just talking about depth, and that's cool. Right, like I think adding linebacker depth, if you're cutting somebody off, if you found somebody who's going to perform, better, more effectively than Sterling Weatherford as a backup, I'm good with it. Let's go.
Well, before I finish that commentary up about Weatherford and Buddy Johnson, let me remind you guys, if anybody watching the show later and you didn't know that Nomad Live came on at 3:00 today, that's because you didn't hit the notification button.
Ding, ding.
Notification button. It's not that hard. Hit the like. Make sure if you're not subscribed, subscribe. It definitely helps us to be able to do what we need to do over here. So please make sure you do all those things, fellas. But back to and ladies, but back to Buddy Johnson and Weatherford. I think if I just had to guess, I think it's down to its simplest forms. We need what we need are stout linebackers that can really move. He's got the move part down pat. He's a former safety, so we knew he can move. The being stout and be able to handle what's coming in front of him, being able to shed blocks and be sturdy in the run game. I think there probably was some questions. I'll allow you into Buddy Johnson. And so he's got all those traits, and he's stout. And so watching him on tape, like I said, it's Buddy Johnson's pro tape is very limited. At the end, he could be just a camp body. He could be a special teams guy trying to work his way up into rotation. But I can tell you this, looking at his college tape, he doesn't have, you don't want for a whole lot. He's played so far in the 3-4 scheme. So I think the learning curve in the 4-3, it's a lot more simple. I think he'd be able to get a handle around that pretty quickly. It's about learning the checks, learning the calls, learning when to slide, when not to slide, all the things that happen on your second tier of your defense. So that's all it's going to be about for him. Just understanding what the calls are and knowing how to adjust to any of the audibles being called live. So I think he's a pretty good depth piece. Will he make the team? I don't know. But, he's a young guy playing his first time in a 4-3 defense, so we'll see.
Yeah, it's a learning curve for him, man. He got to come in, you got to learn the defense before you can even play fast, man. So it's going to be tough for him to make the team, and he hasn't been a great special teams player in this league so far in this 3-4 years. But I'll say this, man, a lot of teams have given him opportunities. So he has some talent, obviously. He's been in Pittsburgh. He's been with the 49ers. He's been, I think, with who else? Was it the Texans? So, a lot of teams see something in him for him to be sticking around and, keep getting these opportunities. So, at some point, maybe things is going to click for him this season, or he just has to be placed in the right system. Maybe this is the right system for him.
Yeah, I think time will tell with him, man. It's about when he puts the pads on. From my understanding, it won't be until next Wednesday. And so we got a bunch of shorts and a bunch of evaluating people in shorts, which I really don't like doing, especially offensive linemen, defensive linemen, and linebackers. It's just not what you can really evaluate. You can evaluate the linebackers a little bit, how they move in space and things like that. But the real deal evaluation won't come until next Wednesday. And so it's all fun to talk about, man. But anybody check out? I think his name is Isaiah Ford, the receiver from Miami.
Yeah, Ford. I know Ford. I think I picked him up a few weeks in fantasy back in the day, man, when he was in Miami, man. When he gets down to those bye weeks and you need to pick up someone, I think he got me a few yards.
Are we talking Ryan Fitzpatrick years or what? How long is Ford?
Yeah, I think it was, man. It could have been. been. I don't know.
Okay, I think you're right.
Yeah, it's been a while ago. I remember him, though. I remember the name. I haven't checked him out. He's a guy who I think is, I think he's a camp body, to be honest, this season. We needed some extra wide receiver depth, so that we don't burn these legs out of the other wide receivers. It's a long training camp. But who knows if he'll stand out, and who knows who will go down this summer, and, maybe he starts the season on the team. So, I think that was a decent pickup, a guy who's been in the league for a while. And I trust, Poles in his evaluation of players. So,
yeah,
and we have to have those, athletes who are familiar with the system, who the coaches are familiar with, that may not be your, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or even on the roster. But if someone goes down, if things happen, you want somebody in the pipeline that, you can bring up and kind of, develop and bring into the fold, that is not just off the street, trying to identify a free agent and bring in. And then also, like, it's a long camp, and it's different with these kids as they I can't say that word, but as some older generations say, well, the kids are coddled nowadays.
Mhm.
And it's like, well, in my day, the first day at camp, we there 2 days, and we ain't had no water, but nowadays they go to the nutritionists, and you know, they get their smoothies. Not at Northwestern though.
This is a great analogy. Sorry, keep going.
and
I thought we were talking about Isaiah 4. He's talking about.
Let him go, though, bro. He's going.
I don't know where he's going with it. I'm just
I'm waiting for it to go.
Twilight Zone.
And so you're going, and then I don't know, but you're going. You know what I mean. What I mean. It's all right, but yeah, but you got to have those people that you're familiar with, that are familiar with you, and you keep it moving. And the power post compels you. If this kid is ready to make a name for himself and battle for a starting position, cool. If he's a camp body, if he's a practice squad guy, if he gets cut, good luck to him. But I'm not really gonna sweat it. But I look forward to the possibilities of, well, who is this kid? Whether it's Ford, whether it's Buddy, every position of that. All right, well, do we have a new gym in the house? Somebody that undiscovered. The possibilities are endless. They may not always pan out, but you want to, give the positivity, at least I do, of, all right, there's the possibility. I'm not saying that he is or isn't, but he could be.
So all that be said, first we were talking about Isaiah Ford, then we went to nutrition and smoothies. I don't know what the hell just happened right there.
No man's taking notes over there.
Like, what the hell,
Chris?
About, man?
This is why we need Chris here, man. Keep us grounded. See, Chris would hit the button on him real quick.
Right?
Miss you, big dog.
But the thing is, nowadays it's a long season. We want to keep them healthy, so we don't start out, popping right away. We do give them hydration and the proper nutrition and the science of ramping them up, with, I'm sure that they got the computer tabs with, all right, well, last week you stretched this many inches, this week you stretching this many, this many pounds to your reps. And they're doing it by science, whereas back in the day, it was like, it's like, well, I do, this many benches and I'm good. So as the technology increases and Hallis Hall is embracing it, the possibilities are just very, very exciting.
I thought I got him off of it, man. Trip just doubled down on it, man. I got you away from that. But okay.
Well, at the finish, I thought I just wanted to complete it.
All right.
Thank you.
All right.
I appreciate that.
We appreciate that. But to the point about Isaiah Ford, man, looking at him on tape, you know what? It's usually best. This is my process whenever we get a guy and I didn't know anything about him. I start with his college tape, and if I find whatever I can find because he played some in Miami. He's got some snaps out there to look at, man. He looks very possessionist the way Miami used him. He was a possession receiver, big receiver, can take a lick, but he's also fast. He's also quick. And I think it was Virginia Tech he played at. I think that was what I was looking at on tape. But he's a nice player. At first, I thought the signing was, okay, Chase might be out for a couple of weeks and they need a camp body to replace him. But then next thing you know, Chase Claypool is off the PUP list. This guy's still on the team. And so I just evaluated what I could evaluate. And I think he's a nice piece. And at the worst, at his best, he'll be able to push someone for wide receiver 7. But he's a solid guy, man. Nice speed on him, nice size, nice length, and a nice body type. A nice guy that could. We have a couple of bigger receivers on the team, Chase and EQ. But possession receiver, you don't really look at EQ as one of those guys, though, do you? You don't really look at EQ as a possession guy. So this guy, I guess, could fill a role that maybe behind a Chase Claypool would be that big physical guy and get you a first down on 3rd and 8. So that's just my take on the guy and what I saw on tape.
Well, I would also challenge that statement by saying don't put EQ into the 53-man roster in ink. We know what he is, and that's a good blocker, an excellent blocker, but he's not seen as a threat as a wide receiver. If somebody can come in and be a good blocker and a good receiver, all right, EQ, good luck with what you're doing, but this kid can have a bigger upside than what we already pretty much know he is, unless he's elevated his game.
All right, so you've opened up the can of worms. So two things. First one is, how many wide receivers do you really think we're going to keep at the end of all this? Second thing is
7.
So you think we're going to keep 7?
Yep.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's what they kept last year.
Okay. That'll be interesting. That'll be an interesting goal. Second piece to this is EQ got paid early. They paid EQ, I think, like a week after the season ended.
Yep.
I think the reason they did that is because he's probably more of a leader in the wide receiver room than he is a player. That's probably really what this boils down to. I know he's got a good relationship with Luke Getsy. He understands, the scheme as it is, and he can communicate that across the rest of the wide receiver group. I don't see him going anywhere, even though he's not the world's greatest wide receiver. Best things for me to say. I think he's going to stay. I don't see Isaiah Ford pushing him at all. Mind you, I don't think he's going to be here for very long.
I mean, I think to a point, I'm sorry, Samo, but to a point, I think he's there to, I told you, at best, push someone for a wide, at best, push somebody for a wide receiver 7. I don't think I don't think he's bumping out. At the worst, man, he can get EQ, but I don't think he's getting Pettis and Velus or anybody like that. No, I ain't no to that. Those guys are going to be here. I think the big question mark centers around EQ on whether or not they want to keep him. I think.
Also, don't wait before you finish that thought. Don't consider financial obligations as a major hurdle, because this team has quote unquote money to burn, so to speak. Mm-hmm. So whatever cap ramifications getting rid of EQ or Pettis would have would be minute in the grand scheme.
All right, you opened up another can of worms. So with
I ain't going fishing, man. What you doing up there?
So with money to burn, why aren't we burning some on that D line?
Well, when I say money to burn, not as in giving contracts to older guys or guys to burn, older guys or guys on 1 or 2 year deals. What I'm saying, money to burn, as in being able to eat the cap hit that these 1 and 2 year deals that we already have. If we were to release those, money to burn.
No, I know what you meant, but I still feel like there's a fair amount of money to go around right now by way of cap floor, cap ceiling. I'm just interested now, just like everybody else. I'm interested in hearing at some point over the course of the next couple of weeks, ding, 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 Bears signed whoever. Drop.
Well, who was it? It was an older voice. Was it Hub or it was an old guy who kept asking Ryan Poles, when are you going to bring in that veteran presence to get you over the hump, or that? And according to Poles, he was like, "Yo, man, I got this." If a guy wants to come here and we want him to come here and we get a deal done, we'll get a deal done. If not, we're going to let our developing young kids play. Yeah, but you need a veteran presence. Yeah, I understand that. Veteran presence brings a lot to the room. How to win. We got all that. When that opportunity presents itself, we've given ourselves the flexibility to add it, not only a defensive end, but whatever position would benefit this football team. That's what I keep hearing Poles saying from the beginning. He has a plan that they are sticking to that will take the North and not give it back. And being impetuous and spending money and not spending it to burn on a veteran or wasting it, or trying to get a guy that is like, well, he's going to get you 8 sacks and that'll get you over the hump. That's not in the forecast or the plan right now, or at least unless the opportunity presents itself. So everybody, keep your your stuff wired tight, and we will be all right. We will be all right.
Yeah, it's called being fiscally responsible, is what it's called, man. He wants to execute his plan and still be responsible with the money that we have on our cap, and he's also trying to stick to the plan, like Trip is saying, man. Not only is he telling us what he wants to do, but he's showing us, man. Every player that he signed has been
let's leave this comment
younger
up.
guys.
Talking directly to. Let's leave that one up there for a second. Go ahead, man.
For sure. Yeah, I'm just saying everything he's done, he signed younger players. He wants to build this team through the draft. He keeps talking about, having that young core of players who are going to, help us to build sustained success, and take the North and never give it back. And that's the plan, and he's not going to rush into things, and I respect that. That's what I like about him. That's the difference in this regime and previous regimes. Ryan Pace would have been throwing money around. He'd have gave Yannick Ngakoue the biggest defensive end contract that you couldn't even imagine, just because he's a guy who's available. Man, you have to be responsible. You have to do what makes sense. So trust your process.
I hear all that. All I'm saying is we're way under budget right now. Like, he has money that available to spend and do stupid. Like, he can throw the birthday party if he wants to throw the birthday party. You know what I mean? He has the ability to do so without really taking a hit. He could do a 1 or 2 year deal on take a flyer on a guy. You know what I mean? He could do a 1 or 2 year deal, pay that guy big money. It's not going to hurt you next year. You can cut him next year. But from that comment that you just posted up there, I can see how maybe it might be the other side saying, yeah, no, I don't want a 2 year deal. I don't want a prove it deal. I think I'm better than that. I think I deserve X, Y, and Z. So maybe, maybe Sophisticated hit the nail on the head there. I think that's a good point for him to make.
Well, to Sophisticated Thoughts point, thank you for that comment. Yes, I was listening to that press conference.
Wait, hold on, no, man. What was the comment for those listening on the podcast side or will be listening on the podcast side? Read that out for us.
I can't. Can you pull that up, Samuel?
You got to pull it back up.
Which one from Sophisticated? Is it this one here?
No,
yes.
One before that.
No, it's before that.
Oh, okay.
Let me go back.
Because you will be able to hear all of the Nomad Network content live on different platforms, including audio-only podcasts. So stay tuned and be aware of the growth and the opportunity to hear all of the latest Bears content and talk and building with the fan base like yourselves. The Nomad Network. Like, share, subscribe on all of our platforms.
Amen. So here's a question, guys. If you noticed in the interview today, Poll, just as Sophisticated Thoughts asked, he said, guys, if you noticed today in the interview, Poll said it takes 2. I think they've been talking to pass rushers. It's coming down to contract terms, money, and years, maybe. Yes, absolutely. That's the exact right answer, because that's just the way I read it. At the end of the day, you can want. He's probably wanting several guys, but at the end of the day, it's about the dollar. What makes sense to you? What makes sense to your organization? Which is how he has to think first. You can want all the pieces that you would desire, but what makes the most sense for your team now and later on down the line, which he also alluded to in the press conference.
Right. Getting the guy at your price, he has a number in his head. He says, I'm not going to just pay you what you want. I have a price for you. I can give you this 2 year deal, but it's going to be this is the amount. And, some of these guys are betting on themselves or betting on someone getting hurt and maybe getting a little bit more. And hey, Poles is not going to budge. And like I said, that's respectful, man. That's what I respect the most about him. He's not just going to jump out there and do anything that's not in his plan. If it doesn't make sense, then I'm just not going to do it.
And now, speaking of plan, let's look at this comment that J2K have. Rolling this year's cap into next year and extending Fields could mean we give him 50 to 60 million up front and the rest of the contract will actually be very manageable for the next 5 years. Because if you look at how Lamar Jackson, Deshaun Watson, these quarterbacks are getting 200, 250, $300 million. We want to be able to pay Justin, if he is that dude, hey man, here's the contract, but we want to front load it while he's young and growing and not handicap the organization like looking at you, Matt Stafford and Rams, for the future. So, we have a plan. We don't want to overspend. I know, because you can tell from Poles' reaction that he knows he has money to spend and is kind of burning a hole in his pocket. But there's a team around him, keep him reined in, and we're gonna take the North, and we're not giving that so and so back. Let's go.
Hey, listen, man. I look at it this way. Everybody thinks Poles is the guy that's just sitting around like, hey, we got to have this, we got to have. No, it's Eberflus and his coaches that are looking at the talent that they have, seeing them on tape, seeing them on the grass, knowing exactly what you have, and is he the one telling them, hey, Ryan, you know what? I think we might need somebody, but just hold on, because also in that presser, he also said that what came across to me is that they liked what they had and the potential that they had in the room. That's what came across to me. He's also said that, you know what, he alluded to there are probably several guys that they've had conversations with. The money, like Sophisticated said, may not be all the way where they want it to be, but if it came about and they could agree on the right terms and limit the contract and all those types of things, then maybe something could happen. But it sounded effusive to me that they like the potential that they already have in the room. And I think, and I keep saying this to you guys all the time, I think because you don't see the name brand on the roster that you're looking for, the name brand that you know, and based on what you saw last year, based on some of the guys we brought in through free agency or through, you're skeptical about what we have on the roster. So I get that. All I'm saying to you guys is hold up. In about a week from now, a little bit over a week from now, they'll put those pads on, and we'll get to see for ourselves exactly what they have in pads. And I think if I was Eberflus and I've been developing all these guys for the last year or so, I'd be like, no, I want to see what they got. Man, we put a lot of time and effort into Dominique Robinson. We've been spending a lot of time with Terrell Lewis. We've been spending a lot of time with Travis Gibson. These guys deserve an opportunity to show how much they've improved. If they haven't shown that market improvement, then I'm gonna come knock at your door and let's make a move on something.
And then also that synergy and teamwork between Ryan Poles and Matt Eberflus when, everybody's grilling Ryan Poles, and Poles was like, yo, Flus, what you think about that? And Flus was like, my brother, I'm here too, y'all. You know what I mean? So, Poles is like, yeah, I got this, but my man Flus, we on the same page here. You don't got to always holler at me, holler at him too. Because hollering at him is like hollering at me on that level of the coach. And I love that. I love that in the front office of Hollis Hall right now.
Kids, what do you think about that whole conversation?
You know what? I like the camaraderie in Hallis Hall across the board. I like what these two are doing together. I just don't like the idea that relying on those developing talents as your starting defensive ends is still a thing. Like, they have to develop these guys regardless as to whether they start or not. They can determine whether they should start or not start. Like that has to be done. If it was me and I had a solid year of watching them play and watching them develop and looking at the results of that season, I would definitely get some sort of leadership in there to hopefully try to lead them. And that's really where a guy like Hub Arkish in that, in the press conference is coming from. I would get some sort of leader in there to say, hey, can you help us develop a Travis Gibson like they did with Khalil Mack and with Robert Quinn? He was just a burgeoning guy coming up. Those two guys took him under their wing and helped to bring him up. And we saw some success. Once they left, success disappeared. And again, I'm not putting that on his shoulders because realistically, he was being double teamed all last year because that was the only thing they needed, a defending team needed to do. just my 2 cents, man. I really hope at some point he sort of, takes a bit of, and it's going to come to that, right? Like it's going to come to that. We're going to see that on the practice field.
I think we froze up. Matt
He froze up.
But
we've been saying it all off season, though, man.
We're going to see what that.
Mac.
He's freezing. You freezing up, kids.
Oh, am I freezing? Oh, man.
Yeah.
We clean now.
Yeah, but we got you.
Clean now. Yeah.
Hold on. I want to add to that conversation really quick.
Go.
See, when you study the Colts film and look how our defense is supposed to look, you wouldn't get enamored with the pass rushers that they had either, but they were equally effective. Why? Because they had a solid rush from the inside. It should be no secret to anybody why they invested heavily in the defensive line in the draft, right? It shouldn't be, at this point, you shouldn't be surprised by that. Going to get Andrew Billings. There's a reason for that. Why? Is because the way that defense is structured is for the interior guys to get penetration, to push the line back, to shrink down the pocket for the edge rusher to be able to get home. And so that wasn't readily available last year. This year, it'll be a whole lot better with the additions that we had. So I think people are up in arms about it because I don't think they get that part of it. I mean, it's a certain type of style that this guy likes to play. And you see that constantly in Indianapolis Colts film. It's the pressure from the inside that dictates everything around it.
And so also, these guys last year didn't have the opportunity. They didn't have the benefit of playing with some guys like this, some bigger, longer guys in the middle who can press the pocket, who can dent the pocket in. So I think, like we've been saying all off season, you want to see what you have before you actually go out there and overspend on something too. Now that we have these guys up the middle, now that we'll be able to stop the run, first of all, because we couldn't stop the run last year. So we didn't know if teams were passing or running on us. First, we have to be able to stop the run. We have run stuffers now. Now we got these big guys who can also press the pocket and dent the pocket in, who will allow these defensive ends, the opportunity to come around the edge and maybe get some sacks or get some quarterbacks ran into them. So I think the right thing to do is what we've been saying all offseason is to see what we have. And once we put the pads on next week, and if guys are standing out, then, we won't go out and overpay. But if guys aren't standing out, I'm with you, kids. We're going to go get somebody. Then but I want to know what we have before I go out here and just, run the credit card up,
Absolutely.
And now remember, we have to allow Flus and Alan Williams and Getsy to do what they have had a history of doing, which is being teachers. And Flus and Ryan Poles specifically mentioned this, like, all right, last year we had our draft pick guys and our young guys. Now they're in their second year. Now we have this draft class. Now we're bringing them along. They are teachers. That's part of why they were hired. Flus is credited for teaching, that Indianapolis Colts defense to be who they were, from young pups to dogs. And so give them the chance to do that and see what they have and how far they've progressed and the lessons that the players in building the young guys have learned before you go out there and even have to loosen the purse strings. Because guess what? If we are able to develop the talent in-house, which is why they were hired, one of their specialties as coaches, then you have those contract controls, you have those trade pieces for future sustained winning.
Matt, you had something.
Yeah, so I think you touched on something really interesting, both Nomad and Triple R. That being really defending the run. And since Akeem Hicks moved out, we've been getting gashed. Like, we got gashed all last season, and everybody was really focusing on the pass rush. We're still really focusing on the pass rush today. Fact of the matter is, we're getting run all over, and that bleeding had to stop. So the question being posed during draft time was, what do you do? Go get a pass rusher. Go get a pass rusher. And they decided not to do that. They decided to stop the bleeding. And I can't argue with that for a second. I think potentially that might have been the smarter move given the options at pass rush. Now if we can get that penetration, which we all hope we can, then it may make pass rush a little bit of it may minimize the pass rush requirement a little bit.
You know why, Matt? I'm gonna tell you why. Every time you watch Indianapolis on film, you let's just imagine a quarterback in the RPO. He's sitting there in the shotgun with the running back next to him, right? And he's standing there and he's got all that in front of him. Next thing you know, the ball snaps and boom, immediately within a second or so, here comes the front moving back on him. What that does is make him have to adjust. If he hasn't seen a quick dump off right away, then he's going to move somewhere away from that pressure, and that's coming right up the middle. He's got to go from one side or the other. It's going to run him right into an edge rusher and make him have to step up. He's going to have to run into him. Or
you got to go left or right. You got to go east or west.
Right. Which makes their job a whole lot easier. And so that guy that was crushing in from the edge and was waiting for an opportunity, he just got to swim over his guy and get to the ball.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how it works in that defense. So it's no surprise to me. And I did it in mock drafts a few times on the bar room. That's why I double dipped on defensive tackle. I knew that's what the need was. We had to get stout up front, and I think we did that.
All right.
Well,
as we transition, Nomad, we got to give a shout out to the chat. Everybody that's building with us live right now on the YouTube channel of the Nomad Network. We are doing Nomad Live, all Bears all the time, as we are entering training camp 23-24 for the Chicago Bears season. And you know how I know that it's football season? Because T-Dub is in the house. I see you, brother, man. You know, what up, son? You know, J2K, Bear, Dylan, Leo, Patty. Help me out, Samo. Who we got up in there also?
Bear Truth 9's in the building, man.
Bear Truth 9.
We got the trolls. Don Burr had to come.
But Don Burr's here like it's his job. You know
hater one. Don Burr ain't got no job. That's what he ain't got no job.
Hey, what up? He be coming in here bushwhacking, man. I love Don, though, man. He's funny as hell to me sometimes.
Right up.
We feeling for Don Burr right now. I heard about Charlie Gardner, man.
Oh man,
Gardner Johnson, man. That was a tough one.
Hey, Don, stop bushwhacking, man. Come on the show and stop playing around.
But you know something that's real that I want to just put out there. Injuries happen, and I'm not one that wants my team to win by default. It's like, oh, well, they got a player down, so we're going to be able to take advantage of that. I understand that that's part of the game. I get that. But, in theoretical, my existence, I want 100% playing 100% and seeing who's the best.
To that
so,
point,
shout out to everybody who's got to go through those injuries. Sorry to hear that, Don.
Let me speak to that right quick because I saw something on Mason West on his feed, on his timeline. He had to get on somebody about cheering about somebody being injured. Man, that's no way to fan, man.
Come on, man.
I don't
Sportsmanship, dog. Sportsmanship.
Go ahead.
Y'all boys are good boys, man. You guys are good homies at the end of the day. I love y'all. I'm just gonna say real quick, I don't like CG. I don't like Cart. I don't like him. Ever since that whole slap you in the face situation, yeah, cool.
I don't like him
I'll just
either.
leave it there. It's unfortunate that he hurt himself. I'm gonna leave it there.
That's why I want to play him, Matt. That's why I want to whoop on him.
I wouldn't mind.
We got dogs now. We had pups then. We got dogs now, man.
Okay.
So now
right.
I want some guys to whoop him, some guys to get in his head. He is that agitator type of player. I like that in him, though.
I don't like
let
that.
Me get in your head. If you're gonna let me get in your head, I'm gonna get in your head, man. That's just
how one
he was on his team,
everybody's head though. He got into
he got into
Anthony Miller's head. Who was the other? There's somebody else I'm missing. It wasn't just A. Miller. It was somebody else too. But anyways, I'm not. Hey Don, sorry, bro. I'm not a fan. I don't like that.
Right.
He's a guy you hate when he's on the other side, but you love when he's in your life.
Oh, if he was a Bear, I'd be so in. Oh, go mess with everybody else. It's cool. He's not a Bear though, so like we.
Right.
Anyhow.
Hey, fellas, hey, let's go around the horn right quick. See anybody got any last words? Because I didn't get to all my notes, but I I promised these guys we wouldn't go more than an hour, so I got to keep to my word. And we will be here every day, as long as there's a press conference. We will be on live. I don't know if everybody will be able to come with us, but as many people as we can, we will be live after press conferences with news, daily news, notes, and updates. So just be on the lookout for that. And we'll still do our regular content on Thursday, 8 p.m. Central for Nomad Live, Sunday, 8 p.m. Central for Nomad at Night, constantly developing, constantly growing, constantly trying to push the boundaries and get ourselves on different platforms. So if you did not hit that like, hit the share, hit the subscribe, hit those notifications, man. If you're watching this later on and you didn't get to catch us live, it's because you didn't hit it. What's up, Chris? What up, kid?
What up,
There
Chris?
he is.
What's up, brothers?
That's a big dog right there.
What's happening, man? Y'all all right? Y'all all right? Matty Keys.
Everybody's good,
I ain't
man.
messed up too much, did I, Chris?
We
No,
try,
man. You messed up before the show.
We ain't tell him about that, man. Okay. But yeah, it was fun, man. I enjoy going anytime we can go, man. If y'all start talking all that crap about Justin and Chase Claypool again, we might have to do a Nomad at Night in the middle of the week so I can cuss y'all out. But play around with me. Don't play around, all right?
All right.
That's real.
And speaking of Nomad at Night, which comes on Sundays, 8 p.m. Central Time, MF are in the kitchen. We got some clips out with those fresh recipes. Check them out. Try them in your own kitchen. You know what I'm saying? Let me know how they tasting to you.
Hey, fellas, before we go around the horn one more time, how y'all feel about doing an impromptu Nomad at Night during the week? A quick sandwich or something, Trip?
Hey, everybody got to consume a little something daily. So if we can get a little loose and like you saw Ryan pose, a lot of times I got the feeling he wanted to just tell a reporter, look, man, shut the. What we're going to do is we're going to proceed in this route. And so, yeah, let's do some Nomad at Night so we can actually say shut the instead of, you know what I mean? Yeah, let's do that.
Y'all want more Nomad at Night during the week? We can make something happen, man. Just say the word.
Well, let the people put it out to the people. If that's what the people want, we got to get the people what they want.
For sure. Shout out to everybody in the chat, man, who stuck in with us, man. I think we got the numbers up pretty nice today. You know, on the impromptu show, expect more of this. You know, be happy. The season is among us. Finally, you know, it's been a long off season. It's time to feel good. Be optimistic. Don't listen to the haters. Shut all that down in the chats. When you in the chat, shut it down. Let them know, and then invite them over here to Nomad Live and Nomad at Night so we can help you shut all that down.
Man, I got nothing to say. I love it. You guys hit it all, man. So bear down, fam. Bear down, chat. Let's do this again.
Mr. Washington, you got anything?
Trips, did you get what I sent you? That was this morning. You've been asleep all morning.
Hey, man, don't come for me.
Hey, you probably slept a little bit later than I did.
If I didn't, I'm sure we'll get that handled.
Just hang out afterwards. I'll show it to you.
Right.
Well, good job. Apparently everything went smooth, man, without me. So y'all don't need me.
Oh, for J2K, I'm a bit of a historian in that respect too, man. We should chat.
Oh yeah, Jake. See, we got to remember that as we talk and respond to the chat that we're seeing real time, as this comes up on the podcast, people won't know what the hell we're talking about. So to be inclusive, our brother J2K said, I like to hear Triple R break down some old school rap and hip hop, maybe a little history. So, you know, that could be a conversation that we have on a Nomad definitely at night, because Nomad Live, that would not fly.
Well, I got J2K while you mentioned that, and while Triple R was speaking of that, I have an interesting concept that could include you guys. I'm not going to say it live on the show, but as soon as I tell you guys afterwards, you're going to be like, oh yeah, that's perfect. So we might have a different, an interesting concept for a podcast coming up soon. We can explore some of those terrains you're talking about there, J2K. And so let's go ahead and close this thing out so we can get people out of here, man. Say it one more time, guys. I love you guys. You guys keep us going and keep bringing the funk like you're bringing it, man. I can't be more grateful than I am right now. And I'm proud of you guys for being real Bears fans, man, being true fans and not you know, I mean, it's just good to see you guys there and being positive about what we got going on, man. It gives me energy and makes me want to work even harder to do what we're doing, man. So thank you guys again for that, man. And with that being said, let me say it to you guys one more time. Love, peace, and hair grease, y'all.
Peace.
Bear down, y'all. Bear down.
Down.